We'll bring the meeting to order. November 6th, Board of Selectmen. First thing on our agenda is non-public session. Do we need non-public tonight?
Yes, under E, employee.
And also pending litigation.
Okay, consideration of minutes. October 15th, 16th, 23rd, 24th.
Do one at a time.
Yeah, I'll go with 15th first.
Would you like a motion to accept as written? So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I'll abstain. I haven't had a chance to read them.
October 16th.
I'll make, you all set, Linda?
Yeah.
Make a motion to approve them as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstention?
Opposed?
Abstention?
October 23rd.
Yes, on October 23rd, on page 2, the last paragraph, the value of the abatements was about $185,000. And the next paragraph up, last sentence, it says that we all, and I said that everything the town, the abatements, that we reassess everything. Wait a second.
Any other changes? Somebody make a motion as amended?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, October 24th.
Yeah, I have one on page 5. It is the fifth sentence down. It said, Ms. Collins said, yes, the town pays the bills to Pop Whalen Enterprise Fund for the town's ice time purchase. And then down under Pop Whalen, 7th line down, it says the ice rink is, and it should be shut down. I think that's all I have. Yep, that's all I have.
I'll make a motion to approve them as amended for October 24th.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Second thing on our agenda, a temporary event permit. Kate Park Band to host annual community bandstand concerts at Community Bandstand, Kate Park, on the following dates: June 24th, July 1st, July 4th, July 8th, July 15th, July 22nd, July 29th, August 5th, August 12th, August 19th, August 26, 2020, from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m.
Good evening. I'm Judy Pascal, and I'm representing the Cape Park Band. Cape Park Band is Wolfeboro's community band. We are all volunteers, and we're of all ages, and we share a passion of music, and we get together on Wednesday nights in the summer to provide entertaining concerts for all ages.
Hey, does anybody have any questions?
I do. I think when I looked in the back, your insurance runs out on July 1st, 2020. You just need to remember to send us an updated one of these. Insurance writers. Thank you.
I'd like to thank you for what you folks put together every summer.
Thank you. This will be our 29th season, so...
So this is on community television, and folks, you ought to get the calendar and you ought to attend. It is unbelievably fun. Kids, and for people of all ages. It's such a treat to see little children dancing to some of the music, as well as people who are not little children anymore dancing. It is a reason my family likes to come up here and visit us. It's awesome, and thank you for doing it.
Well, thank you for acknowledging that.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Anybody in the audience want to speak for or against? Close the public hearing. Somebody like to make a motion?
I move to grant a temporary event permit to the Cake Park Band, subject to their updating their insurance, to host the annual community band concerts at the community bandstand in Cake Park on the following dates: June 24, July 1, July 4, July 8, July 15, July 22, July 29, August 5, August 12th, August 19th, August 26th, 2020, 6:30 to 9:30 p.m.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next public hearing, the Friends of Wolfeboro Community Bandstand to host annual outdoor concerts at the community bandstand, Cape Park, on the following dates: July 11th, July 18th, July 25th, August 1st, August 8th, August 15th, August 22nd, and August 29th, and September 5th, 2020, from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m.
Hi, I'm on the board of the Friends of the Wolfeboro Community Bandstand, and we provide a summer concert series of free, professional, family-oriented performances on Saturday nights, beginning in July and ending Labor Day, Saturday of Labor Day weekend. This will be our 26th season.
Okay, any questions from the board?
It's just the same thing with the insurance.
And me too. Whatever I said earlier, 10 times that for this one.
Dittos.
Okay, close the public hearing, unless somebody has something to say. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to grant temporary event permit to the Friends of Wolfeboro Community Bandstand to host annual outdoor concerts at the community bandstand in Cape Park on the following dates: in July 11th, 18th, and 25th, and August 1st, 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th, and September 5th, 2020, from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Wolfeboro Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, November 6, 2019 at 6:30, Great Hall, 84 South Main Street, Wolfeboro, New Hampshire. Acceptance of unanticipated funds for an amount greater than $10,000 in accordance with RSA 31:95-B, Roman numeral 3A, relative to a donation for catch basin work, retaining wall work, paving system work, roof gutter with rain barrel system installation and granite curbing, enhance the project scope of Phase 3, 319 Crescent Lake Wentworth Watershed Management Plan Implementation Grant, initially authorized by the Selectmen on January 3rd, 2018. Total gift amount is $19,185.
Evening.
Hi,
Good
Matt.
evening, board members. And everything Dave just said is a good description of what the request is this evening. And a little background on why this request is before you tonight. The 319 Phase 3 grant for the Lake Wentworth Crescent Lake Watershed program was granted in 2018 and had a very specific work scope associated with it for both the Camp Bernadette site that you see before you this evening and also the Route 109 site along or close to the state park. During the design phase of the project on Camp Bernadette, our contract engineer identified a few items that were viewed as supplemental to the original scope of the project that would greatly enhance stormwater treatment and mitigation of the runoff that's happening in that area. However, because of the nature of those improvements that, again, went outside the scope of that project, they went beyond the scope of the funding available in the grant. We've been in conversations and we've had an excellent relationship with the camp throughout the grant program. We actually went to them to request whether they would be interested in funding that portion of the design themselves, and they said yes. Therefore, they've pledged a total amount of $19,185 for the work scope that the chairman discussed just a second ago. I tried to highlight to the best of my ability on this sheet of paper, the attached plan, where those areas are, the curbing, the pavers, the roof gutter and barrel system, and additionally some other work to really, again, mitigate the stormwater impact. This will be paid to the town in 2 phases. It's not necessarily something that the board needs to know, but for financial reasons, the camp will be providing 2 payments to the town. But we felt that tonight it was important to request the full amount for the board to accept the gift of the $19,185 to really enhance this project as it was initially proposed.
Anybody have any questions about it?
Only thing I have is a comment. I couldn't read this.
I assumed you...
I couldn't even read
Yep.
it with a magnifying glass.
Yep, understood.
So,
Yep.
Either make them bigger or it doesn't even make any difference to give it to us. I couldn't even tell
Yeah,
where
I
it
assumed
was.
it wasn't necessary for you either, but I wanted to just give you some sense of, yes, that is the plan being referenced.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't necessary, but you printed it anyway.
I wasn't sure if all board members were familiar with the project, so I'd be happy to provide anyone who'd like a copy of the plan with a high-resolution copy if you'd like one.
Yeah, it just, there was no wording, and so
Yeah,
it's fine.
understood.
It's too small.
You know I often
I know.
create that issue.
Well, I know you do, because you're
Yeah.
younger and you have
Yeah.
better eyes than we do.
You know you have bigger plans than these.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Okay, this is a public hearing in reference to acceptance of this money. Anybody wish to speak in favor or against? Close the public hearing. Board?
Would you like a motion?
Sure.
I move to accept the unanticipated funds in the amount greater than $10,000 in accordance with RSA 31:95-B2A relative to a donation for catch basin work, retaining wall work, paver system work, roof gutter with rain barrel system installation, and granite curbing to enhance the project scope of the Phase 3, 319 Crescent/Wentworth Watershed Management Plan Implementation Grant initially authorized by the Board of Selectmen on January 3rd, 2018. The total gift in the amount of $19,185.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any opposed?
And I just wanted to point out, I should have pointed out during my presentation, this work is actually underway, not the specific work contemplated tonight, but we have begun excavation at the site, so we're hopeful that the BMP work will be done this year. So we're excited about that.
Good. Next on our agenda is the bulk vote, which is our weekly manifest, intent to cuts, fuel tax levy, property tax credit exemptions, raffle permit for the Wolfeboro Lions, turkey trot, and tax warrant. Okay, next is board appointments. We don't have any.
Would you like a motion to accept
Oh,
the
sure.
bulk vote? So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Board
I want to mention
appointments?
the tax rate, we did get it.
I don't.
I can give you that report right now if you'd like.
Want to do it now?
I can do that.
Want to do that?
Actually.
So with regards to the 2019 tax rate, you may recall when we went through the budgetary process, when the presentation went to the citizens, the estimated tax rate for 2019 was $6.79. That would be up from $5.98 for an 87-cent increase. We have completed the work, and we have received a tax rate for the municipal portion of $6.09, which is an 11-cent increase as compared to the 2018 tax rate. So a significant reduction as compared to the proposed tax rate. moving forward. So we feel very proud for the hard work that's been put together to reduce this from the proposed tax rate.
You have the total tax rate, so they hear it.
So the total tax rate, and what I'll do is I'll go down through the 2019. So the 2019 municipal tax rate is $6.09. The 2019 county tax rate is $1.27. The local education tax rate is $6.24. The state education tax rate is $2.24, for a total tax rate of $15.84, which in comparison to the 2018 tax rate was $15.80, so an up of 4 cents on the tax rate for 2019. The Beach Pond District remains at the 85 cent.
Well, that's always good news.
That's not bad.
I think we can deal with that pretty easily.
Ken?
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Any new business?
Good.
We have
Okay, next is the FLL team, number 18580, Electric Luminous of the Girl Scouts of New Hampshire.
Good evening. Thank you for letting us present our idea to you tonight. We are the Electric Llamas, a Girl Scout robotics team from Wolfeboro. This is Adriana. This is Amelia. This is Evelyn. This is Miriam. And I'm Evelyn. We compete in the Lego League, a worldwide program. This is our 5th year, and we are very excited. Every year our team competes in a regional event. To compete, our team must build and program a robot to complete certain tasks, and we must complete a project. This year, the project is to look around our community and find a building or a space that is underused, abandoned, or in need of new use, and create a plan for its potential utilization. We would like to thank all the professionals who have given us their time and the town employees who have encouraged us and helped us learn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To start the project process, we set up a meeting with our town to get an idea of what they thought we could consider. We met with Dave Ford, and he helped us learn more about our town, and he gave us some ideas, possible projects to think about. We then looked around our community to find a building or space we felt we could learn more about.
Through all of our searching, we came up with 4 buildings that we felt were underused or in need of updating. These buildings were the Ice Rink, Community Center, Old Citizens Bank, and the Electrical Building. We chose to consider these buildings because we felt they shared similar aspects of misuse of space, under maintenance, or are derelict. This is what the Electrical Building and Community Center are currently living. Dave suggested we look into working with the old generator building, which we ultimately chose. It is not currently being used for the community's benefit, meaning renovations wouldn't hinder the community, and because it wasn't on the verge of crumbling. Plus, there is already a cost to upkeep the building, so let's put it to use. We would love to have this building to generate money to cover the cost of its operation instead of just costing the town money and not producing us anything.
Once we had chosen a building, we next thought about what we could use it for. In our conversation with Dave, he pointed us in a few directions. After our meeting, we then met with Christine, the director of Parks and Rec, to get their take on what our community was missing. We had first thought that we could build a new Parks and Rec offices. After our meeting, we understood that Parks and Rec are happy with their location, and although they could use new offices, we wanted to help our community as a whole. We realized the community was missing a nice, usable community center with a commercial kitchen along with a permanent location for a senior center, a place for Parks and Rec children to relocate in case of rain, and a long year-round location for community-based events.
Currently, the electrical building is used for the town's office's storage. The last time it was occupied for town use, it was when it was used to generate backup electricity for the town before it closed back in 2008. It has been vacant since then. To help understand what our town members wanted, we created a survey. We spent a day in late August conducting surveys downtown. We asked store employees and people on the sidewalk. We got a few summer residents, visitors, and a lot of year-round residents. We were able to collect approximately 50 surveys. Then we put our surveys on Facebook in a Wolfeboro town page. We also had lunch with the seniors to talk to them about our idea and to have them take the surveys. Up to date, we have 122 responses.
Our survey asked, do you know where the community center is? 81% do not know where the community center is. Do you know you could rent the community center? Only 58 knew that they could rent the community center. Would you rent the community center as it is now? 83% said no. Would you be in favor of preserving the generator building for town use? 90% overwhelmed in favor of preserving for town use. We then asked about what our town has and is or missing. Does the town have a commercial kitchen? 94% said no. Are you aware that we have a town-funded senior center without a permanent space? 74% said no. They did not know that we had a senior center. Lastly, we presented our idea of converting the generator building into a community center and asking them to rate our proposal on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the highest. Extremely bad, only 1.6% of, or 2 people. 2, not good, was 0. Neutral, number 3, was 7.5 or 9 people. 4, good was 20.7 or 25 people. Extremely good was 70 people or 85 people. 70% or 85 people.
After analyzing the results, we noticed a few things. That residents know about the community center but would not rent it. Residents overwhelmingly were in favor of preserving the generator building for town use. We asked the survey takers what they felt our town was missing, and the largest theme was a large, open, multi-purpose, year-round room with a space for community events and young people. Also, we heard from some firefighters who would like to use the old community center as a training exercise when we demolish it, which would be ironic because it was once the fire department. Plus, it helps reduce demolition costs.
Using the survey responses, we updated our plan, keeping in mind all the possible uses we could fit into our space. We propose converting the old electrical building, the beautiful brick building located on Lanner Street, into a new community center with a 3-room structure. The first room would be the front hall. It would be a large room with 2,400 square feet with 88 compliant restrooms. It would be located right off the street, complete with a handicap parking. The second room would be a smaller room off the back of the hall. We would add this level on top of the existing back building. It would be 1,100 square foot rec room with a TV and game tables. This would have access to the front room bathrooms. The third floor room would be 1,200 square feet, commercial kitchen. It is located beneath the game room in the existing back building on the lower floor. It would include a restroom and a pantry and plenty of open space and a table space for classes and food prep. We would also include a rooftop garden with outdoor classroom. We have included an elevator so that we are ADA compliant. It would have access to all floors and the roof. Our plan would be to be a permanent location for a senior center. It includes a projection screen for town movie nights in the winter, a rock wall for town use in the summer, and an alternative space for Parks and Rec, with solar panels to help cut costs. The center would be available for public rent and community meetings, and hopefully be a permanent site for the winter's farmers market, perhaps a monthly artisans market. We would also use many historical photos and tools to decorate the building. We would demolish the current community center for more public parking, create a stairwell from the municipal parking on the Bridge Falls path for safe travel for Parks and Rec children, as well as overflow parking on community nights.
Throughout the process, we have met with many professionals who have helped us form our proposal and our budget. We met with Lindsay Nelson from Clean Energy Collective. She is the senior manager in charge of project development. She explained how solar panels worked and helped us form our plan. She explained that this could help us cut our energy cost by at least 60%, depending on the building usage. And we can expect to recoup our initial cost in 8 to 10 years. We have worked with Barry Mucho, Director of Operations for the Electric Department. He was able to give us a tour of the inside of the building. We know that there is an issue with an oil leak, and we have included that issue in our budget. We also met with Heather Boss from Always Accessible, an elevator company. She helped us find the specific elevator that meets our needs. We found we needed to include an additional room to the elevator shaft that we included in our design. Throughout this process, we have relied on Kurt Klassen from KA Klassen Fine Woodworking and Remodeling to help us understand and a renovation project. He let us access to his architecture program, chief architect. With such access, we recreated a digital model of the building. We spoke with Amy Capone Mucho, director and president of the senior center. She explained how the center is funded and the different obstacles they face as an organization. Without a home, she also explained the different activities seniors participated in and the things they would love to be able to do. We corresponded with Eldorado Climbing, a rock wall company. They helped to give us prices for the different aspects of the rock wall. We have met with Liv Venus, a local architect who is currently involved in the Silva Dentistry remodel located next to the current community center. She helped explain the process for a feasibility report and how a building goes from an idea to a finished project. We also consulted with Peter Lambert from Thermopride, a manufacturer of furnaces. He quoted us a price for a new system. Finally, we visited a community center in Meredith because we thought it would be important to visit a building like the one we want to create. We met with Vin C., Meredith Parks and Rec Director, who was one of the collaborators in planning the Meredith Community Center. We learned about his process and the pros and cons of a project like we want to create. He gave us some great ideas and we updated our project with it. We also wanted to talk to him about his community center rock wall and see how that was working for them.
To help us visualize this project, I was able to use the program Chief Architect with the instruction of Kurt. I first created the building as it is now, then I took that building and modified it to show how we wanted to change the building. I added all the improvements and upgrades as we continue to talk about what our community needed. To maximize the open hall, we chose to add the bathroom into the back structure to give us a large 2,400 square foot room.
The people who would benefit most from this plan are the seniors, children, and overall every community member. It would create a space for community events all through the year, but also a large space to rent out to community members. The ability to have a multi-purpose room for rent that could be used for weddings, birthday, family reunions, and endless more possibilities. Our rock wall would be available to rent as well, with the proper equipment and training personnel provided by the town at their ability and for all additional cost from the training personnel. During the winter months, the senior center would be able to use the room and kitchen as their permanent space. They would no longer need to use a different building to have special programs. Currently, they use the church kitchen and the town attic for fun events. Having everything located in one place would be easier to coordinate activities, and we feel would entice more seniors to stay active and social. Having them in a space where children also hang out might make some crossover activities beneficial to all. We have found that having an updated community center would have a positive effect on our community.
So this is the building that we created. In the front here is Rainer Street, in this front part here, and off to the side is handicapped parking. This is our flat-topped roof. It has a rooftop garden, sitting areas, and solar panels. There is elevator access to all 3 floors. This is the front hall.
Great. Very nice.
It has a rock wall, floor markings for multiple games. It has tables and even a vintage phone booth. In this room, we will use antiques, town photos, and tools to decorate these massive walls. A vertical folding partition wall will separate the room when needed, and there will also be a projection screen for movies.
From the front hall, we pass the elevator on our way into the game room, where everyone can enjoy games, TV, ping pong tables, foosball, electric gaming systems, and just plain hanging out. This is our commercial kitchen with all needed appliances. Our kitchen has plenty of storage and prep area. There is plenty of space for cooking classes, and meal preparation. There will be a stairwell from the kitchen to the main floor, along with the elevator. It also has a bathroom and a pantry. The bathroom is ADA compliant.
Budget. Please see the budgets we have created in our packet. Our budget consists of the following. Removals. We assumed that there may be lead paint and asbestos, therefore we included the removal in our budget using the average price per square foot from our research. We have included the price for demolition for the current community center once the firemen have used the building as a training exercise. We included removal for the dirt that may have contaminated by the oil leak. Removal will be $365,000 for the building. We consulted with our builder and he priced us at 500 square feet for renovations. We would include all new walls, installation, bathrooms, wiring, plumbing, lighting, and more. We would include the cement re-pour to fill in holes and level all floors. We are installing a hydraulic elevator and mechanical room to keep the fluid warm. This elevator would have access to the kitchen, the roof, and the main floor. We have included a new heating and cooling system. A cooled building will be easier to rent and make our kids and staff safe and happy in the summer. We have included solar panels in our budget as well because we want to reduce the cost of our building use and have a greener town. Building cost would be $2,888,000. Interior. We added a rock wall to the large room because we all thought it would be a fun thing to have available for our residents. We spoke with Vint from the Meredith Community Center where they have a rock wall. He said it is the #1 rented space. It didn't change their insurance by much, and they are all trained to help out. With the automatic belayers, it does not need a lot of training to run, and one person can run all the lines. We also have an included price for kitchen appliances based on our research. Interior cost would be $85,000. Accessories. We have included prices for a partition wall that would come down in the big hall to separate the room into 2 smaller sections. It would flow vertically from the ceiling. We also included a large projection screen for movie nights, miscellaneous kitchen equipment, popcorn machine, and tables and chairs. Rockwall training, games, and floor art markings. Accessories would be $143,500. You will also see a price for landscaping and the design work for $400,000. The total for our project would be $3,873,500. We know that we have budgeted on the high side because we would rather be too high than too low. We took the top estimates for all the line items and we consulted with an architect who said our numbers were realistic but high.
After meeting with Liz Venus, the architect, she gave us a number for the feasibility report. She quoted the price of $18,000 to $25,000 for a report. Because the land nearby has just been renovated, there may be plenty of data available for the report. For the price, she is convinced that we can have the testing done and have simple drawings redesigned. We would like to request from the Board of Selectmen include $25,000 in the 2020 budget for a feasibility report for a community center located on 22 Millionaire Street. Although we as the kids of Wolfeboro do not vote, we feel that this is a great project for our town as a whole, and we want to have a place like this for our youth. We may be the future leaders of our town, but right now we want to play. Thank you for listening to our presentation. We will gladly take any questions.
Wow.
It's awesome.
Yeah, this is great. Yeah, fantastic.
I think we need to hire these kids.
Yeah.
It certainly is thorough. Pick some good people to work with, too, I know quite a few of them. So. Anybody have any questions? I think at this point...
Any of you guys looking for a full-time job?
Yeah.
Thank you. I do have a question, Mr. Chairman, or a couple. So, I'd like...
Whoa.
Oops.
Oops. Thanks, Tim. I'd like to congratulate you for putting the survey out. Saw that one night, and I was kind of like blown away that saw this survey. So I took it. So I think I'm one of the fives in there. I'm more interested in understanding from you how I know you wanted to do a project for something, but how did you put together all the pieces? Because this. I graded you A+, so I don't know if you can take that to somebody. But how did you put all the pieces together and say we need to put all these little building blocks together? How'd you do that?
We pretty much just knew what we would want, and we also made sure that we had ideas from all over the board, from the senior center to the younger kids and the middle-aged. We wanted to make sure that we had everything.
We also knew what we wanted. We knew what we wanted to do. So after we knew what we wanted, we met with everyone who we wanted to figure into our plan and met if maybe they wanted something else in our plan or something different than our plan.
Anybody else?
How long did it take you to do it? Is this a year project, 6 months?
We started in August.
Yeah. That's really, wow.
So you created a little vision, and I'm struck by, I mean, I'm impressed by the fact that you, all during your presentation, you were trying to be inclusive of everybody. And this just wasn't for, you know, other people, it was for everybody. I'm August, you started this in August. You did all this research from August until today, you built a model, you got some architects and some engineers, give you some free stuff, and you came up with a budget, and you said we're going to come up with a budget and maybe a little high, but what the heck, because I'd much rather be on target than way off target. We have a lot to learn from you. Thank you.
We can appoint you to a number of town committees.
Yes.
I was asking if they want a full-time job.
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
did want to add one thing. So many people in our community came to us and asked what community can we join, how can we start fundraising, and so many people want to help us get this project up and running.
And you obviously had some adult supervision on this project?
Yes.
And who were those people? I think some of them might be here tonight.
Yes.
We have a coach, Coach Briar Lambert.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We also had Delina Bickford, who helped us with some of the travel and being able to actually make sure that we had some fun activities for ourselves with all this work.
Good.
So how do we keep in touch with you guys?
Yeah, this,
We want to figure out how to do that.
Email?
yeah, this is not over, I'm sure.
We want to, you know, maybe get a point of contact. At least, this is awesome.
It is.
And I think a lot of other people probably want to see this because you might have started something really fun here, and this is pretty awesome. Very, very cool.
I would suggest that with the different clubs and organizations we have here in town, that you might contact some of them for presentation, including the planning board, which I'm sure Matt Sullivan can put you in touch with. You know, I think this is just a start.
I think there's a little more selling you got to do, but, you know, it's worth it because you're in the right space. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
If you guys put this presentation together, you ought to be congratulated again. Well done. Well done.
Very well done.
Well done.
Thank you. Any more questions? Do you have any questions of us? You know what we might help you with? Because certainly we're here to do that. At this point, I mean, this is an awful lot for one night.
What do you do to get it going?
What?
What do you do to get the process going? What should we do?
What do we do to get the process going?
Oh, I think you need to, again, go to the different organizations around town. Certainly, I think the newspaper is going to be able to help you as well, because a lot of people still read newspapers. And certainly, with Matt's help through the planning board and maybe their website and stuff could help you as well. You know, those are the kinds of things today that would certainly help your project.
And I think next year, when the CIP committee meets, this would be a good thing for you to bring, and maybe do a presentation at that time to let them see what you've done and maybe move this project up on the CIP plan.
CIP is the Capital Improvements Program.
That would actually facilitate the $3 million that you were looking for, and also put it on the warrant for next, not this year, but for a 2021.
Yeah, this year, I don't know what we can do for funding. You asked for $25,000. You put in the rec budget, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Feasibility study.
Feasibility study. I don't know if we have time to do that.
We also have to have a report from Planning Board, Matt, and what the Planning Board thinks about it, you know.
So, you don't give up. Like I say, I don't know that we have time now between, our budget season for us is done. The budget committee now gets the budget and they start with it. Then we have town meeting. So you might talk to Matt in reference to warrant articles and that kind of thing that might help. We still have time to put warrant articles together, so you might start there.
You also could start and do a petition warrant article.
Right.
Write your own warrant article and
Make
get a
your
certain
own.
number of people to sign it, which would mean we'd have to put that on the warrant.
Yeah, you
So
need
you'd get the
25 people, I think.
Again, Matt can outline that for you. It's not that difficult. So it's really pretty simple. So,
I'm very appreciative, after all your hard work, all the things you told us, how do we get it going? That's the closing question, and you should never, ever, ever be shy to ask that question. That's good to do, because you spent a lot of time on this.
yeah.
And now you're giving us, a hard question to answer, and we have to help you figure out whether this is doable or not. There's about 6,000 people out there that probably want to know more and will probably want to, thumbs up, thumbs down or something, but just keep doing this. This is extremely creative. This is a Shazam, and I think it's awesome. I appreciate it.
Again, thank you very much.
I don't know if you knew or not, you guys are on live television tonight too, so a lot of people out in the town got to see. Camera right back there is filming you right now.
We'll probably get 1 million page views. How about that?
That's awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next on our agenda is American Legion. Post 18 renovations of the Legion Hall.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul Vivian. I'm here with Tom Southern, and we're from Post 18 of the American Legion, the Harriman Hale Post 18 here in Wolfeboro, 142 Center Street. Now, I think you'll be glad to hear this. We're not here to ask for money. But we do want to ask for your moral support and advice that you may have. And what we really want to talk about tonight is our plan, our intention in the Post 18 to renovate our American Legion Hall. I have a little presentation here, if we can call it up. It's right behind you there on the screen. And if I don't push the wrong buttons, everything should go just right. Well, we checked it out earlier this evening. It was working then, so hopefully it will work now. There we go. Here, let me go back one here. This is, of course, the American Legion Hall here off of Center Street, not very far from here. And what we're interested in doing is returning value to the community. That's our overall goal. And what I want to do tonight is touch on 4 basic points: the history of the Legion Hall, the problem that we're facing, our proposed solution, and then why should we even bother to renovate the hall? First of all, the American Legion Hall was built in 1860. It was a schoolhouse. It was the Wolfeboro Falls Schoolhouse. We know the names of the first 2 teachers, Zada Ferber and Alice Glines. And in fact, today you can go into the building and you can see on the floor the burn marks from the old stove that heated the old schoolhouse. Now, the post itself, that's post 18, Harriman Hale Post, was founded in 1919, right after the end of the First World War. We were among the first. We were the 18th in the state of New Hampshire. And originally, we were housed in a building that contained the Grand Army of the Republic. Now, that was the first veterans organization of Civil War veterans. And it was down here around about the railway station. And that burned down in 1928, and then Wolfeboro gave us the current building we're in, and we've been in there since 1928, believe it or not. And over those years, we, the American Legion, have done all sorts of community-oriented activities, baseball. We also were served as a venue, a very inexpensive venue for citizens to do things such as old wedding receptions, sweet 16 dances. In fact, a friend of mine was telling me that her parents had their wedding reception there way back in the 1940s. Last year, in 2018, we were placed on the New Hampshire Registry of Historic Buildings. Now, what's the problem we're facing? Well, the building is decrepit. We can no longer hold public gatherings there, primarily because, I hate to say it, the foundation is in very poor shape. As you can see, we've got old-fashioned brick and wood and masonry block. Some of the foundation even rests directly on the ground, on the earth. It's exposed to moisture and dirt and runoff water. In fact, I don't know when, but at some point when they were building the building, instead of having the water flow out, it flows in. So that's part of our problem. We've got problems with the wooden floor, it's rotten, and there's mold. Now here's some pictures for you. Now, I'm not an engineer, but I have enough of an engineering sense to know, particularly when you look at the picture of that old cinder block holding up one of the foundations, that's oh my God, by golly, I hope that cinder block doesn't move. You can see some of the mold and some of the rot there on some of the beams that support the floor. That's an example of some of the problems we have. We had Bergeron Technical Services come in and without any charge to us, and this is an engineering firm up in Conway that does a lot of these restorations for old buildings, looked at it and gave us a very good assessment of the problems we're facing, which you can see here. Fundamentally, the foundation is rotting away and is no longer safe. We have problems with the roof. Again, there are parts of it that are sagging. We've lost some shingles. It's in need of repair. In fact, replacement's probably better. We also have problems with the electrical, which was added on over the years. We've got the old-fashioned screw in the fuses, and then we also have a more modern fuse box. The wiring is not up to code, and it's, again, there's an example. You can see the old-fashioned fuse box. I'm so old now I can remember when that was standard, but today, now you need these new fuse boxes with switches and whatnot. But anyway, that gives you one example. We don't have, our heating system is really decrepit. We've got the remnants of old heating systems in there, including ductwork that has been abandoned. We don't have any real effective way of moving fresh air, and needless to say, there's no air conditioning. Here are some examples of, on the upper left, you see that's what is primarily heating the building today. And there's an abandoned ductwork. There's an oil tank that no longer functions. It's in our basement. Plumbing, it goes to say that it's inadequate. We can't service large crowds, or for that matter, the disabled either. Insulation, we don't really have some insulation, large parts of it. of the building itself. It's a real challenge. The kitchen, we don't, and again, it's not up to standards. We don't have a dishwasher or freezer or any of the sort of conveniences you need in order to have a kitchen that can service a party or a social gathering or something of that sort. Here are some examples. In fact, I have to tell you a little story. About a month ago, Tom and I were cleaning up that kitchen, and I actually found a dish from 1936 which commemorated the coronation of King Edward VI. And it was dirty, and my goodness, I don't know what else is lying around in there. Now, another aspect of this house, it's really, building's very positive. It's a museum, really, of veterans here in Wolfeboro and in the nation. Besides that lovely fireplace we have that you can see there, we have on the walls some really remarkable pictures that really capture the sense of what life was for veterans. And this one in the center is particularly interesting. It's an example. It was done right after World War I, and it shows a soldier going away to war and saying goodbye to his dog. I don't have it here, but next to it is another picture of him coming home, and there's the dog with a whole bunch of puppies. And of course, we also have right here, the lower left, this is one of the most remarkable things that I've seen. And Mr. Harriman, it may be related to one of your relatives, but Harriman, who was, after which this hall or post is named after, was the first citizen in Wolfeboro to be killed in World War I. And that picture on the wall is the letter from the War Department informing the family that their son had been killed in July of 1918 on the Western Front. And that letter is as fresh and as emotional today as it was 101 years ago. It just tears your heart out. You'll also see pictures of FDR, which kind of captures the sentiment of the town during the Depression. And I don't think any of these pictures have been removed since they were hung up there. But part of what this Legion Hall has, while it may be decrepit, is it does capture a lot of the history and the sentiment of veterans for really since its founding in 1919. Now, what's the answer? We, as I say, we went to Bergeron Technical Services, and they've given us a lot of help in what we need to do. And the first and fundamental issue we need to do is put in a new foundation. Now, this is not an easy task. We have to jack up the whole building on jacks like this, and then they bring in earth-moving equipment. They dig out a new basement, then they put in a brand new foundation, one that will hopefully last more than 100 years. And this whole process, we're probably talking $150,000 to $200,000. As Bergeron told us, when you start doing these renovations, you have to realize that you don't know what you don't know, and sometimes you get really surprised. But this would be our phase one, and incidentally, this is going to be a several-year project unless somebody were to, tomorrow drop a huge sum of money on us. But in our first phase, we want to get the foundation squared away, so that at least the building would be safe to occupy. Secondly, we want to work on a new roof, windows, and insulation. Again, we don't know. We don't think we have asbestos, but we could. We almost certainly have lead paint in there, so that makes it even more challenging for us. But that would be our second phase. And we're estimating $100,000 to $120,000 to do that. And then our third phase would be really adding the icing to the cake, expanding the bathrooms, a new electrical system, heating, air conditioning, upgrading the kitchen, about $128,000 we think for that. And then finally, what do we think it's going to cost? $450,000 is our guess. That's a lot of money. But we do think it's worthwhile. And these are the reasons why. Well, first of all, we'd have the American Legion Hall available for at least another 100 years. And it could, again, serve as a venue for the citizens. And not, when I'm talking about here, I'm not, there are a lot of folks here who aren't real well-to-do, and they want to have a wedding reception or a party or something. We're available, and we're not going to be expensive, because we're really not in it to make a profit as much as we are just enough money to keep the building going. And we can serve that function, which is what we have done for a good 80 or 90 years already. It's also, at one time, years ago, was used as a public emergency shelter. They used to store cots in the back, and we feel that if we can bring this up to the right code, we can once again serve the community as a sort of emergency housing facility. I know the high school is available for that. I know St. Catherine Drexel Church has also taken steps in that direction, but we would also like to do the same. And finally, we see ourselves as a living monument, maybe is not really the right word, but a way to commemorate and celebrate the activities of the veterans from this region. And I think in a way it already does that, but with some extra work we could capture even more of this and bring it up to date, and add just that much more value to the community. That's essentially what we want to do. It will be a multi-year project. We're out trying to raise money now, and certainly if you have any rich friends, please send them our way. We'd love to talk to them. But what we most need from you, the selectmen, is really the moral support as we go in the next few years and try and raise this money to turn this Legion Hall into into something that can once again give value to the community. With that, I'm going to be quiet. I do want to mention one last thing. And again, thank you folks for this. We are going to be giving a presentation on the 26th of November together with the Veterans Administration on the suicide prevention. This has become a real challenge for us in this country. I think something like 43,000 veterans and servicemen have died by suicide over the last 6 years. And that's 20 a day. And what we want to do is, working with the veterans, and this is going to be open to everyone. You don't have to be a veteran, is to come, and we're going to have folks in the VA who are specialists in this sort of thing, and talk to people how, if they are depressed, if they're feeling suicidal, or they have a friend, how they can receive help. And again, I encourage everyone to attend, and I want to say thank you for letting us use the Great Hall for this purpose. And with that, I'll be quiet and answer any questions which you might have.
Anybody have any questions?
No.
Thank you for the information.
Well, and thank
I've
you.
wondered
folks.
recently, I know that the Legion had some meetings, so I'm glad to see that they're going to try to move forward with saving it.
Well, thank you, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on our agenda is transfer of capital funds to the museum.
So I've created a memo here for the Board of Selectmen. There's two items here that I think we need to discuss with regards to the Libby Museum and the Schroff Revocable Trust. The feasibility study is ongoing, as we are aware. The floor stabilization has occurred. We discussed last week, the last meeting, tree removal. And we also had a bid opening for the shoreline repair at the Libby launch. The appropriation for that project was $20,000. We received one bid. That one bid was $29,225. So we need to make a decision whether we do not do the project, whether we do the project and raise the rest of the funds using the Schroff account, or we attempt to rebid. The problem with rebidding at this point is it's rather late in the year, and I think we're going to run into the same struggle of not getting bids moving forward. So the account initially had $118,563 in it. The feasibility study was $40,000, which is ongoing. The floor stabilization was $5,000. The proposed tree removal is $11,000. And if we were to use the balance to the shoreline, that would be $9,225 for a grand total of $65,225 to come out of that account, leaving a balance of approximately $53,238. I'm just looking for some guidance on the board as to how you would like to handle this.
Well, from my perspective, I think that this shoreline thing has been going on for a long time. It needs to be done. And I would like to see that the 9,200 and whatever be taken out and put in on that bid for the 29. It's got to be done.
It's in rough shape.
It's been too many years not being done.
That was a warrant article last year to do.
It was a capital outlay
Outlay.
of $20,000.
And I agree with Dave, and I think we felt there was a safety issue out there. We had somebody fall. That's why we kept it in.
3 years ago or so.
Yeah, so I agree. The money's there. It's something we need to get done.
I agree.
And you don't want to get the 20,000 to lapse, so.
We need a motion to transfer the capital funds.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion?
And we did discuss it last meeting, but we also will need a motion on the tree now that we actually have the numbers.
So can we do one motion that says, I make a motion to spend $11,000 for tree removal and for the shoreline repair, $9,225,000 out of the Throff revocable trust? Does that do it?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed?
I have a question, Jim, on when we get reimbursed back for the feasibility study, $50,000, will that money be going, I think we asked this before, will that money be going in the general fund, or is that going to end up back in for the?
That's a legal question that we've got to bring in front of Puffer in coordination with the finance director to figure out exactly where we can place those funds, whether we not have to establish a new account, whether they can be used to supplement another account. Not sure yet.
Okay.
So putting on my Libby trustee hat, it would be the receipt of a restricted gift. We would, as Libby trustees, we would say should go to any fund that is restricted for that purpose, and that may not be this particular named fund, but it would be.
These funds are actually the $50,000 that was pledged to help with the feasibility study.
Right, but it's going to come into us as.
Yep.
So we just need to park it in a Libby fund someplace.
So if I understand it, the whole thing was going to be $75,000 feasibility study, but then did we pay part of the old architect? So really the feasibility is costing us more than 75, and that's what this 40 is?
So, no, this 40 was the warrant article for 2016, or
Right.
I'm sorry, 2019.
Right, but it was for the same thing. It was for a feasibility study. The one from the year before was 50,000 from the foundation and 25 from the taxpayers. So this is the money that came out of here was another 40,000 for that feasibility study. So we're talking about, more.
So I kind of Linda likes to see spreadsheets, and I think we probably ought to see one on this one.
Thank you. I think so too.
Probably ought
I
to see a
think
hunk of paper that says, here's where the money came in, here's where it went.
We can put that together.
Yeah,
I think that makes sense too.
Okay, but the motion basically is to transfer capital funds. Correct.
That's correct.
The repair of the wall, basically.
Yeah, and do
And
the
tree
trees.
removal.
Tree removal. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
thanks.
Okay, next, town manager exemption from New Hampshire retirement system.
Yeah, so this is part of the employment contract that we have with me. If you recall that the date was, I believe it was November 17th. However, in bringing it in front of the retirement system and in front of Attorney Puffer, the retirement system recognizes the first of the month. So that's why you see that listed there. Other than that, pretty straightforward, I think. We can answer any questions you may have.
Okay with this?
I'll make a motion to Board of Selectmen pursuant to RSA 100-A:22, vote to exempt James Pinio, town manager, from compulsory membership in New Hampshire retirement system effective December 1, 2019.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any other business?
Mr. Chairman, I have a request for the board. If you remember last year, right around this time, we were driving around and mapping cell data, which I shared with you folks back a couple months back. Since that time, the New Hampshire legislature has passed some statutes which are now giving the towns the ability to ask cell phone companies, wireline companies, cable as well as the telco, to provide maps of where they provide coverage. Specifically, they provide coverage above 25 megabits and below 25 megabits. And the reason for that is there are a number of towns in our county, ours included, but it's much worse other places, that are substantially underserved by telecommunications services. And in order to seek funds from the FCC or for the United States Department of Agriculture or whomever the fund bucket is, there needs to be a case built that says communities are underserved. And the way you do that is you ask the cable company and the telephone company to simply say, in your town, here's where our wires go, and here's what the capacity of those wires are, above 25 megabits, below 25 megabits. There are no customer names to be provided. There's no intimate knowledge to be provided in terms of any individuals. But it's a mapping exercise that the Carroll County Broadband Committee, which I am a member, has asked that we all participate in. What's in it for Wolfeboro and what's in it for the county is that there has been recently a grant provided to the county for $250,000, and that grant is to do a feasibility study to determine whether there will be or could be an opportunity to overbuild, and what that means is actually hang fiber on poles in towns across the county. I've been asked by the committee, as other towns have been asked by the committee, to send a note to Atlantic Broadband, although other towns will be sending their notes to Charter Communications, as they're served by Charter or Spectrum. But we're all going to be sending a note to Consolidated Communications as well. So if you, and by the way, I support doing this. If you're in support of this, and this memo that is in front of you is actually, I'd recommend it gets signed by Jim, as opposed to sending it signed by all of us. I'd like to send this memo out to the Atlantic Broadband people and to Consolidated. I'm glad to take any questions.
I think it sounds like a good idea.
I agree.
Okay. Everybody in agreement that?
Any disagreement?
No.
Okay, folks,
They should both be sent.
thank you.
You want a motion, right?
I just think you've affirmed it.
But you can say by unanimous decision if you give a motion.
It's fine. And
I'd like to move we accept this.
I'll second.
Okay. Everybody in agreement? Yes?
Aye.
Yes.
Alyssa?
one other trailing piece of information, and Alyssa, there's Jim's going to sign it, not these. One other trailing piece of information that in a few weeks I will I'll want to get back on your diary to update you all on what's going on with the merger of T-Mobile and Sprint. The FCC approved it, and I'll update you on what that means to us. I will also be asking, so you might want to think about this, we've gotten a lot of public input, that there's a lot of dissatisfaction with the fact that we have just an unacceptable amount of outages in the cable network, and there's not a lot of action being taken by the cable providers to either to remedy the situation, explain what's going on. And I think there's some citizens out there that want to sit down and figure out what our options are. And rather than get into that discussion now, I'll prepare you all in the next couple of weeks. I think we now just need to start thinking about having some folks take a hard look at what we're not getting, which is we're not getting a good deal from the cable folks. Not that they're bad people, it's just that their network breaks a lot, and that's not acceptable to particularly people who are elderly, people who are of need. So we'll be back to you on that. Thank you.
Committee reports. Linda?
Yeah, I've had two meetings with last night, Wolfeboro 2019. We have all the entertainment set. We're now working on getting our advertisement out and making sure that we can cover all the venues with volunteers. So if anybody's out there who'd like to volunteer, contact me. We need some more people to be in the different venues. I also went to a meeting with Jim and Victor Druin from the Friends of Pop Whalen, taking a look at that enterprise fund to see whether there are ways that we can lessen some of the expenses. And then I've been at budget meetings with all of you for quite a while now.
David?
I went to the library trustees meeting, and we had a nice tour of the library, which is coming along very nicely. I think you'll be impressed with the large amount of space that is there. Cindy Scott, the librarian, is on top of everything from paper clips to wall hangings, and gave us an update. I went to the budget committee meetings, as did the rest of you, and I've been helping some people with Wolfeboro historical projects.
Okay, as mentioned, we've had budget meetings at least 2 nights a week the last month. Seems like 2 months. But they've been very productive. And as you heard from Jim, for that tax rate, I think it's coming along nicely. I had nothing else. Right?
Yeah, the day after our last meeting 2 weeks ago, I had a Friends of Libby Museum meeting. Other than that, it's been just the the almost daily budget meetings that we've been getting together at, and enjoying each other's company.
Billy? Good.
Next.
Gained 5 pounds going to budget meetings because we volunteer to feed ourselves.
And Halloween candy.
And Halloween candy. Which was awesome. Cyanobacteria meetings, particularly on the education side, building a little web capability in there, coming along well. I've been doing some personal research on Libby because I know it's going to be a big deal, so I'm just doing some work for myself. I don't have anything other than just I'm trying to learn about that. I talked to you briefly about the FCC and the mapping information. I've been to the police commission meeting. And I want to give a shout out to Selectman Murray. It's already on social media last night, and I'm sharing it like crazy, and people are too. I think it's awesome, and I won't embarrass Linda by asking her how much budget she's got because it's next to nothing, and it's just going to be pretty awesome for the kids. So congratulations.
For everybody, we have more musical events happening this year. We're going to have a sing-along that the senior citizens are going to be putting on, and so Freeze Band's going to play, so we're expanding.
Pretty awesome.
Town managers report?
Yeah, so you heard about the tax rate, that's good news. Our Halloween event was a huge success. There was a lot of little trick-or-treaters that came through, so that was a good win. And budget meetings, so I've got a handout to you this evening of a quick budget summary. We do have a little bit of a problem here with respect to timing. So the budget is supposed to go to the Budget Committee on the 12th, which is next Tuesday. Monday's a holiday, and the interesting thing here is the health care. Initially, we were supposed to have a set increase on the health care for the 5th. We have a range of that increase. It's looking now that we are not going to get that increase number until the 12th. So that kind of handcuffs us a little bit as far as we've projected a 10% increase. We really don't know what the increase is actually going to be in health care. I believe within the Fund 1, the general government, that 10% number, and we have to work on this next year, that 10% number is a big number. So summarize really quickly here, the total for the general government, Fund 1, mind you, this is calculating in the 53rd pay period. This is calculating in an increase of $156,000 at this point for assessing. This is factoring in a 10% increase in health care. The overall budget is up $565,503, or 4.06% in the general fund. With regards to the water fund, that's up $29,469, or 1.62%. The electric fund is down 1.93%, or $194,954. And the sewer fund is up 0.74%, or $12,742. And the Pop Whalen is actually down $40,626, or 14.39%. So that's a summary of the general fund and the enterprise fund budgets. I'd like to hear a little bit of input from the Board of Selectmen.
My feeling is that we pass it over to the Budget Committee so they can get working on it and let them know what we're short. And as soon as we get those figures, we'll transfer it over. I don't think, yeah, that's what my feeling is. It's not like we didn't do our work.
Right.
That's the best you can do. One thing, tomorrow night, we're going to meet with the Budget Committee, right? So tomorrow night, we're going to be sharing this document with the Budget Committee?
Yeah, so what our intentions are tomorrow night, we really wanted to have the Budget Committee's complete books together for them. We're not going to do that based on the fact we don't know what healthcare is. So we're going to have the first 2 nights together for them, basically hand them to them in manila envelopes. And then once we know what the healthcare is, we will finish the books and get them to the Budget Committee. But yeah, we have 3 meetings next week.
I think the public should know that the town manager and the selectmen probably went over at least 1,000 line items, dollar by dollar, night after night. So we spent a lot of time on this.
So just a thought, Jim, and you know, I don't know if it's going to help or not, but if you look at the things we got to do, you know, the got to do's. One of them is the assessing number. Mm-hmm. Assessing number goes from 177.7 to 334 grand. So it pops. If you just simply, you got to do that. If you just simply pull that out and then laid it up against the budget growth, you probably are at a 1 or 2% on general fund.
Yeah.
Now, we still, you know, we're still going to get asked, why is it up 4%?
Absolutely.
And that's a fair question. But that's a got to do that we got to do. So I agree with Linda. Pass it over. We're going to have to make, maybe there's some more adjusting that we have to do, but you know what? It is what it is. And
anything else?
That's it. I appreciate your patience and understanding. I know this has been a sometimes challenging process, but I think all in all, we've brought it together, and it was definitely a learning experience for us in the corner.
Any questions from the press? Okay, public input, limited to 3 minutes per resident. Anybody wants to talk to us?
It's been a long way. Good evening.
it'd be
My
great
name
on
is,
the rock wall. Think if you climb in the rock wall.
you know, every month. I don't get to do that. My name is Anthony Quinn. I live on Winnipesaukee Drive. And in August, I think it was, of 2017, B&H Development declared bankruptcy, which threw a monkey wrench into everything that's been going on. And in January of 2018, I submitted a petition to the town of Wolfeboro to lay out Winnipesaukee Drive and Knightspawn Lane. That was brought before the board on the 7th of February. And on the 8th of February, I got a letter from Dave Owen indicating that the town legal advisor was concerned about the interaction between the bankruptcy court and the petition, and so it was put in held in abeyance. And so I assumed that when the bankruptcy thing was resolved, that I would hear from the board with regard to your requirement to address my petition. I've been waiting for a year.
I think we did go into a betterment assessment.
Wait.
The bankruptcy court closed it on November 27, 2018. So it's been just about a year. And I've been waiting to hear from the town of Wolfeboro with regard to my petition, which was drafted by me and also by a local lawyer who has some legal arguments in the petition that really need to be addressed, some of which indicate that there's a legal requirement for you to take Winnipesaukee Drive and Knights Pond Lane based on previous action taken by this board. So you really need to go over it. You need the town lawyer to go over it and address those issues. I know we're not going to get anything accomplished tonight, but you need to address those issues, and I'd like to find out what your plans are. Right now, there are 24 building lots for which you have a tax lien, which you've not acted on. You're looking at over $1 million worth of property at fair market value of almost, say, $50,000 a lot, which is not bad to ask for that area. So I don't know where we are. All I know is that I've already broken 2 springs on my car. It cost me $700 to get it fixed because of the condition of the road, and the condition of the road resulted from B&H Development not constructing it to town standards, and the town not doing due diligence to ensure that it was. That was proven by your own survey a few years ago, which said that it was not built to town standards. Back in 1990, I think it was, the town of Wolfeboro released a surety bond, which in effect said that they verified that it was built to town standards. Just not so. So I leave that with you.
We'll check into it at this point. I can't remember off the top of my head where it stands at this point personally. We will check into it. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else who wants to speak to us? Yes, sir.
Good evening. Joe Haas from Gilmanton. And I do appreciate you listening to me before on what I thought was the statute that dealt with the opportunity to contest the school tax rate, but the Board of Tax and Land Appeals, they only take cases dealing with the town tax rate. But the paragraph right before that, it says all tax rates. So the Board of Tax and Land Appeals, I got a letter from them, they're working on something like that. And I heard earlier you said you got the tax rate from the DRA, is that correct?
That is correct.
And when was that? What day? And the reason I ask is because you have 10 days from the day of the receipt to contest the tax rates. You have town, county, local school, and state school, and the town of Ossipee for SAU 49, which you're one of the 6 towns. I was up here to the Tobin Valinsky information session. That's how I learned all about this as a neighbor over in Gilmanton. And what they had done was last Monday, they wrote a letter to the DRA saying, please do not set a tax rate other than $0 for the local education, because it's supposed to be paid for at the state level. And everybody's saying, oh, you're a socialist, you're a Bernie Sanders socialist, you know, you're going to have a sales or income tax. I got that feedback down in Alton. That's another SAU, but that's what most people think. But what I'm getting at is when the property tax goes down 3/4 is what you're paying for the local school right now. When that comes down, then the solution is you go up on the business tax to offset that, to approach or equal. That would provide the money for the schools. So you have 2 RSAs, one RSA 76:5 that says you shall send a tax warrant over to the tax collector to bill and collect by RSA 80:4. But then there's another statute that says you're authorized to. And so that language that's like a may. You may do so if you want to. But then you have the Constitution says you cannot, because it's only supposed to be proportional. And that's the Conval case that's down in Keene, that's now sitting at the New Hampshire Supreme Court. And it would be nice for you to follow through with what Ossipee did but what they did, they rescinded. Somehow, somebody twisted their arm, and that letter was revoked. But they haven't had their tax rate set yet. But when it is set, they have 10 days to contest it to the DRA. And I was just over in Northfield last night because the selectman over there, who I saw last fall, like all of you, for that information statement that I originally started this with, RSA 7611A, Roman numeral 3, where you can put an information statement into the bill, that's all gone over that's water over the dam. The chairman asked me a question. He says, how many towns have actually put in this 21J 35.6? And I couldn't answer the question because I don't know. I don't think any town has ever done it. But you can. You can contest the school tax. And that's one of the things that's, is going on right now in the courts.
Okay, thank you for your information.
Thank you, sir. Okay, thank you.
Hey, I need a motion to go into non-public.
So moved.
Yes?
Yes.
We'll go into non-public?